This is the AEW Dynamite November 20th, 2024 full show results video which takes place at Santander Arena in Reading, Pennsylvania. The show started with a match between Will Ospreay, Ricochet, Powerhouse Hobbs and Mark Davis versus the Callis family, and the result of this match was the Callis family defeated Will Ospreay, Ricochet, Powerhouse Hobbs and Mark Davis by pinfall when Ospreay goes for Hidden Blade. Fletcher pulls in Davis to take it and Fletcher dives onto Ospreay outside, leaving Davis alone to take a knee from Konosuke. Death Riders in a dark corner for a pre-tape promo and Jon Moxley puts over Orange Cassidy as having more going on behind his eyes than any of them realized. He may leave Full Gear with his mind intact, but his and Darby Allin's body is still up for grabs and then kicks it to Claudio Castagnoli, who cuts an angry promo in German. The scene shifts to Allin arriving at a loading dock. All the Death Riders are going to get theirs and Claudio gets his tonight. After a break, Renee Paquette is outside as a fetching winter coat and she's waiting for the Hurt Syndicate, as Montel Vontavious Porter has promised us some news. MVP tells us that Bobby Lashley will be in action tonight, but before we can get more information, Swerve Strickland flies in and hits Lashley in the head with a chain-wrapped fist. The Almighty is phased but doesn't fall, and is standing and looking pissed as the segment ends. It's story time with Adam Cole, Bebe, and he wishes he could say he was gonna get his hands on MJF this Saturday. Max made sure he couldn't, but Roderick Strong succeeded and will get to face Friedman at Full Gear. Before Cole can say any more, Kyle O'Reilly is out. O'Reilly says that 14 years ago they had one of their first matches right here in Reading, Pennsylvania. They've been through a lot, ups and downs, but that makes KOR the only person who can tell him that this MJF obsession has to end. Cole is dragging his friends into his fight and Roddy barely got out of his match last week, and now he's dying to face Max. Cole starts to say Strong is ready, but Kyle says MJF is probably 3 steps ahead of them and Cole needs to realize that people want to help Cole because he's a leader. MJF is an evil bastard, and Cole should be glad he's nothing like that, and O'Reilly walks off and leaves Cole speechless. Orange Cassidy is backstage for a promo and he knows he's outnumbered, but vows to take out Moxley and the Death Riders by himself. The conglomeration come in and Briscoe is animated, insisting they'll have his back, and Orange Cassidy rips his glasses off and yells that he's not asking, he's telling them he'll do this alone. Briscoe concedes, and Cassidy says it may be 5-on-1, but he'll end Moxley on Sunday. The next match happened between Chris Statlander versus Hikaru Shida, and the result of this match was Chris Statlander defeated Hikaru Shida by pinfall when Shida sets up for Katana, misses, then gets 2 off a Falcon Arrow and they go back and forth, then an inverted piledriver get the win. TBS champ Mercedes Moné and Camille are out. After introducing herself, she gets some cheap heat hyping her Celtics and putting down the Philadelphia 76ers. The CEO brags about holding the title for longer than Stat did, and vows to not lose on Saturday or ever. Shida is back on her feet by the time Mercedes sends a one-armed Camille into the ring to finish the job. She stares at both women before swinging on Statlander and Shida hits her with a question mark kick that sends the brick house to the floor. Moan jumps on Statlander's back while she's watching that, but fights it off to hit Wednesday Night Fever and pose with the belt. An incensed MVP is backstage and Shelton Benjamin has a guy in a fur coat up against the wall, but they realize it's not Swerve but still kick his ass anyway. The next match happened between Bobby Lashley versus Joe Keys and Cheeseburger, and the result of this match was Bobby Lashley defeated Joe Keys and Cheeseburger by submission with a spear and then hurt lock. Big pressure hits the loudspeakers, and Shelton heads to the tunnel, but it's Prince Nana. Swerve was hiding and he takes out Lashley with a chain, then hits the Swerve stomp. MVP in with his cane, so Strickland backflips to the apron and heads into the stands to celebrate. Paquette is backstage with the women's champion Mina Shirakawa, and Mariah says before their champagne celebration at Full Gear, Mariah May and Mina will team up on Rampage. May says no one deserves a celebration more than her and Mina says she'll give her the celebration she deserves, and the segment closes with some chest shaking. The next match happened between Darby Allin versus Claudio Castagnoli, and the result of this match was Claudio Castagnoli defeated Darby Allin when Claudio presses Darby above his head and throws him into the timekeeper's area where he bounces off a table that doesn't break. Claudio's in the ring thinking he's won by contour, but of course Dangerous Darby beats the count and Castagnoli quickly turns him inside out with a clothesline and won the match by pinfall. Renee is with Tag Champs Private Party, and she wants to know how they plan to retain in a 4-way Saturday where they don't have to be pinned or submitted to lose the belts. Zay says he can't reveal that, but vows to leave Newark with their belts, and the Costco guys show up for some of their shtick, then promise a big announcement after the break. A sports car is seen pulling up to what looks like a vacant lot and MJF gets out, throws some change at a mendicant, then addresses Roderick Strong. He brings up Roddy's troubled childhood where his mother shot his father in front of him. That explains why he's so loyal to Cole, and Max understands because he also wanted to trust Cole, and as for Saturday, he plans to break Strong and make him wish he was back in his trailer park. We're back with Paquette and Big Boom AJ and Big Justice. He talks about how his pre-show match with Cutie Marshall is 20 years in the making. They basically just used their catchphrases a bunch and then reveal the Rizzler will ring the bell at Full Gear. Tony Schiavone welcomes Roddy to the stage, and he appears with Matt Taven and Mike Bennett, and he mocks MJF for bringing up his past, because that's what everyone does. His upbringing taught him that he has to earn everything. Meanwhile, Max throws a temper tantrum anytime something doesn't go his way, and he's going to end MJF at Full Gear. Then we cut to Menard and Garcia confronting Perry off in some undisclosed location, where Garcia is confronted with what he's become thanks to the scapegoat. Perry starts talking about sacrifice before Garcia cuts him off, promising he will never go to the place Perry wants him to go. Garcia has something else for the TNT champion, however, taking a crowbar to the skate mobile to send a message to Perry, who just laughs, asking if that's it, as Garcia and Menard make their exit. We cut backstage, where Renee is sitting with Chris Jericho and Tomohiro Ishii for the contract signing ahead of their ROH World Championship match. Jericho talks about needing to get the contract looked over by his legal eagles before leaving the room, only for Ishii to stalk him down the hallway as Jericho tries to make his escape. But Ishii follows him to the ring and Jericho pretends he doesn't have a pen, but Big Tom has one and shoves it in his chest. The champ signs, but before Ishii can, Big Bill and Brian Keith hit the ring to grab him, and they hold the New Japan star so Chris can stab him with the pen, but the conglomeration runs in to deal with the learning tree. Rocky Romero takes out Bill, Keith gets a J Driller from Mark Briscoe, and Ishii puts down Jericho before signing and throwing the contract on Jericho's chest. Backstage, Paquette interviews Jamie Hayter about how Julia Hart's video interrupted her last week. Hayter is as confused as we are about why Hart cut her off, and if Julia wants to talk to her, she should just, and she's cut off again. This week's video features Hart practicing archery while Brody King says she's been reborn, and now it's time to rebuild, and her heart is growing, and getting harder, and segment ends. In the main event of the show, we saw a match between Orange Cassidy versus Wheeler Yuta, and the result of this match was Orange Cassidy defeated Wheeler Yuta by pinfall with the schoolboy pin. The two combatants eye each other up when Pac arrives to take Cassidy out. The other Riders hit the ring to stomp Orange down as Moxley strolls to the ring with duct tape. He hands it to Pac, who tapes OC's hands into his pockets while Castagnoli holds him. They all take turns shoving and punching Cassidy, and he fires off his signature kicks at Moxley in defiance, but there's no help coming after he told his friends to leave it to him earlier. The Death Riders roll out and exit through the crowd, leaving Orange down in the ring. Briscoe, Romero, Ishii, and O'Reilly come out and cut his hands free. Cassidy gets to the ropes and pulls himself up to stare out at Moxley as he puts his sunglasses on, raises his hands, and puts them in his pockets. Moxley doesn't like it, and the show goes off the air.